Hi, I'm Aisha Adams, and you're watching the Asheville View, and today we're going to have a conversation about disruption. Hi.
Hey.
I want to talk about disruption because yesterday I was at one of my favorite places, which is a work camp conference. I love work camp. Those are my people. That's my community. But one of my friends said, if you want to have a conversation about politics, you should invite Aisha in. And sometimes I just feel like I'm always seen as hyper political.
Right.
And while I love being seen as a change maker, as an influencer, I also wonder like how I show up in the world and if I'm being too political, too much, too strong. And I just wanted to hear from the two of you, like how often have you had to disrupt, or just tell me about a time you had to disrupt?
Growing up in a culture where women always had to come next or second, I've always been a disruptor. I didn't choose to be a disruptor, I just kind of had to be. It's a culture where women are second, the men are the head of the household, the women have to cover up so the men don't get excited, the women get half of the inheritance. Like, these are things that the government has in place. So you're always kind of having to be quiet, having to act a certain way, having to talk a certain way to be proper. But I've always had an issue with that, and it was always it'll come out in my high school classes, like in religion classes, where I would always be the one asking the question that nobody's supposed to ask. You're supposed to just take it and go with it. I'm always the girl who calls out the men for harassment, because in that culture you're supposed to just move on and not cause any trouble and just take it, smile, move on, go away. It'll go away if you do that. But I've always been the girl who would call them out. And sometimes it's not a good feedback that you get. Sometimes you'll get assaulted, sometimes you get insulted. And so I've always felt like it is my duty to be that girl who would always say, this is not okay. I know we're supposed to do this, but I'm not doing it because it's not okay. We're not second. We're not less than you. So I just feel like it was something that I've done my whole life. I've always had to do it.
That's really awesome. I feel like I don't disrupt, but I low-key disrupt because I like to be very much like water. So you're like going down a stream and you're flowing around rocks, and those rocks are like people's expectations of you. And
That's a really
I
good
like
way
to
put
swerve like around those rocks, but low key as I'm doing it, even though water is not necessarily abrasive and really, you know, over time I'm still making these expectations and these assumptions smaller because water wears away those. And so you're not gonna see me, I mean, not often see me popping off or yelling at anybody.
I've seen you pop off.
But I mean, I'm sure you have.
I can tell you can pop out.
I've seen him pop
I can. But in general, like my way to disrupt is to disprove what people's preconceived notions of how you're going to be are. And that's really important to me, is just be the best person I can be and prove them wrong.
I think it's so interesting, Myriam, because coming from a Muslim country, I feel like people say like, oh, Muslim women are seen as second, but like there's a loophole in the rape laws in North Carolina. I am paid less because I'm a woman.
Right.
Like that's second, right? And what's the difference?
Yeah.
Right? We're told like we should be docile and speak softly and be cute and look a certain way. So we have the same type of societal norms here. They just look different because we're in a different space.
Right.
And I think that we're super judgmental of Muslim countries, but we have the same behaviors.
We do.
We have the same attitude, and it's much worse because while we do that, we're constantly judging Muslim countries.
But
Because
it's
we
not
say
the
that we're
law,
not
we
doing
just
it.
call them social norms.
Oh, it is the law. It's the
But it is
law.
low key.
Yeah.
It's the law. It's
the law.
It's the law here as well. In some religions, women can't wear pants. Same thing.
I mean, you've got the Mennonites and they have to wear, you know, the little I don't know what they're called, to be honest,
The
but you know,
turbans,
it's still
the
a
jab?
hair covering.
Oh, okay.
And the Mennonites, and that's you know, off of Christianity. But we're always, you know, harassing people who are Arabic for wearing them. But
Absolutely. Yeah.
we still have.
I think we
religions
we just say in this country we just say that we are open, but especially with what's going on right now, I don't see any difference between any of the other countries that oppress women with now these new laws and what's happening right now. When it comes to women's rights, I feel like it's almost the same thing. We're still oppressed, and it's really sad to me that we've come so far away, but right now we're kind of backpedaling to those types of cultures.
Sweetie, we're not backpedaling. We're falling backwards down hole and rolling.
We are
And
rolling.
one of the things that we do is that we use Muslim countries as a cover for that. So we can say, well, we don't make you cover your head, so we're progressive.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, you're not. You're not progressive.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I have another question for you. So when we're going through this, because we're obviously all going through this and feeling this, I mean, Kirby, feel like for you, in some spaces and places, just being who you are is seen as a disruption. How do you deal with that? And the same for you.
You have to be aware of your surroundings the best that you can be. And it's sad. It's sad that you have to, if I want to hold, you know, my boyfriend's hand, that I have to make sure that no one's around that's gonna possibly attack me or hurt me, or make sure you're in a safe space. And it's so sad sometimes because I catch myself doing it in public specifically. Is like, you know, he'll want to put his arm around me and I'll like push him away and I'll look around, and it's like the fact that I have to check to make sure that it's okay that you can hold my hand, or you can kiss me in public, or you can put your arm around me. It's not healthy, but you also have to protect yourself, because there are people out there who are not going to like me for that reason, who are going to go out of their way. I mean, I just read an article, and it was a Facebook article, so I'm not 100% sure if it's accurate.
Yeah.
But there was a couple who was two lesbians on a subway in New York. No, was it England?
That was
Anyways, there was a lesbian couple on a subway, and there were some guys coaxing them into making out to appease them, and they beat them up for not doing it.
Yeah, it's
What?
horrible. It's
Yeah.
horrible.
That's
It just happened
horrible.
about two days ago.
We need to make sure that we share that out on the Facebook, so that you know, our audience can see that that's happening, and that we can rally against that, because that's not right.
Yeah.
I know for me, just the way that I wear my hair comes with so many stereotypes, right? We face these things, and people place judgment, and we over-police each other, and we mistreat each other, and we disrupt people for being disruptors. And yet we still celebrate people for their individuality. So it's like, it's hard to find the line.
It is.
You know what I mean?
It is. There was a quote when I first started feeling like I was different and I needed to say things and be a disruptor. I didn't even know what was happening at that point. But I remember just hearing a quote from Maher, and he said, "You can't claim to be for peace if you're not willing to disturb it." And I remember that resonated with me so well, and thinking, Myriam, that's what you're doing. This is what you're doing. You're not being peaceful. You're actually working for peace. You're disrupting it. And since then, it was like a moment that clicked. And to me, it was like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be spreading this message of disturb that peace. That's how you make peace happen.
Yeah, I know for me, my thing is like, until everybody's liberated, until you can walk down the street and hold your lover's hand, until you can speak Arabic in its full glory wherever you are, until I can wear my nappy hair the way that I want to, until everybody's liberated, nobody's liberated. And we have to remember that. We have to push that message forward, and we have to keep going. And we'll be right back with the AIsha.